Hello and welcome to this beer clipper video. In this video I'm going to show you how I've done what I've called the Queen and the Eagle. It's a 3D print and I'm putting it on top of my chopping board. So this is a series I've done where I've done quite a few 3D prints and based them on a chopping board, which is a really cool way of doing something that you want to be a display. It's obviously not very good for gaming, but if you want to have something on your side and you want to have a really nice base, go to a home improvement store, pick up some of the chopping boards and you'll find some really nice ones out there, and that works as a really good idea. So hopefully that's nice and inspiring, and the rest of the video obviously is about how I go about painting and assembling this diorama. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below and I'll see you again at the end. Well, it's a little bit hard to see these against the background, but what I've got here is the Queen and the Eagle. Now, I can't remember who did this print. I'll try to remember to put it on screen, but this was a Kickstarter I did, and this is going to be another of my series of chopping board builds where you've got someone riding an animal. So it came with 4 different options for the rider. So that's one of them, which I might use. That's another one which I might use, very similar. There's another one which I might use, and this one unfortunately I can't use because I had a very, very small print failure on the knee, as you can see, so that's not going to be an option. So I'll have a look at these and work out which one I want to use. I'm not entirely sure what the differences are. I just printed everything. I probably should have really looked at it more closely. I'm thinking maybe the one with the spear overhead. I quite like that, so it should be sitting on the eagle up here between the wings. So what I'm going to do first of all is obviously glue this together and paint it. Now what I have found, I've had a little bit of a play, and if anyone has any hints and tips or explanations why this happens, then leave a comment below. But the pin doesn't go into the hole, and I don't know entirely why, because they were well supported and everything was printed with default settings, but it seems to swell or not work at all. So what I'm going to have to do is, well, the front one goes in, but the back one doesn't want to. Yeah, so I'm just going to cut the pins off and glue it on. It's not going to be being played with actively, it's just going to be sitting on the shelf, so it won't risk getting damaged. So I'm going to clip those off, glue the wings to the eagle and get that painted separately, and pick which of the riders I'm going to use and get that painted separately. I'll bring you back to this probably. That's all pretty obvious stuff. Yeah, just use my grey primer and then probably use some speed paints, to be honest, because it'd be quite easy to do that. And then I'll bring you back when we come to do the actual base, because that's obviously the bit that I enjoy the most. Just to say, I was briefly considering, I found this bit of wood, which is awesome, when this is pulled out my wood fire pile, and I was thinking about mounting it on that, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to keep it sticking to the chopping board theme, and I'll use that base in something else. So that's going to go in the pile, and when something good comes up, I will mount it on this awesome piece of wood that I found in my wood burning file. So there we are. Let's get going. Well, I've finished painting up the Queen and the Eagle, as you can see. I've been putting pictures of this on my Instagram if you want to see the process, and go and check that out. Not glued together yet, but you can see where the Queen is going to sit and how the Eagle is positioned. However, what I want to do before I glue the Queen on is work out at what angle the eagle is actually going to be sitting on this base, and for that I'm going to need to design the base. So that's going to be the next thing for me to do on this. Just thought I'd show you that I have painted it now, and I am now ready to start on the base. So I'm going to have some thinking, do some planning, and I'll bring you back when I've made my mind up. So I've picked my base for the eagle, Queen and the Eagle, and I've worked out what I'm going to do on it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a twisted wire tree, which is going to be positioned off centre over here, and I'm going to make use of air dry clay to do the trunk and to sculpt it, which I'm quite excited about. And it's going to come up here, it's going to have a branch going across here, and the eagle will be sitting in the branch. So that's the plan. I hope I can pull it off, but that's the idea. So I'm going to start onto the wire twisting. It's mostly going to be clay. I might make use of some modelling compound, I'm not sure, but I don't have oodles and oodles of wires actually. Now I'm looking, I'm going to need to order some more. But I don't have oodles and oodles of wires to start on this. But as you can see, I do have some. So I'll quickly show you the technique I use, and then I'll do most of it off camera because it's going to be a little bit annoying to do it on here. That should be, I might need a few more of them. Tell you what, give me 1 second, I will gather together all the wires I need, because I started this a little bit unprepared, and then I'll show you how I go for the twisting. So here we are. I had a huge sneeze as well to do, which is another reason I wanted to get off that clip. So what I normally do is I'll take a bunch, and hopefully this is not too much, but I'll just start twisting around the base with a couple, like so, to kind of hold the whole thing together. Because of course what I'm going to need to do is twist out some, that wasn't very well done, twist out some root systems. So if I pull some of these to one side, as you can see here, get a few twisted out to the side, and I can start doing my first root. And as I said, I won't do most of this on camera because it's a bit fiddly to hold it out down here. That'd be better for me if I wasn't having to worry about being in shot. But you are literally just twisting the wire like so. And for root systems, what you're looking at doing is ending up with a nice flat base which can then sit on the piece and give it some support. What I then do, so I'll do the root system, I'll finish that off later. What I then do is to start on the trunk, you start twisting around like this to build your trunk up, and I mean, normally I'm not doing one quite this thick, this is quite a large tree. I'll then continue round, so I'll find one that comes up and will allow me to continue the twist. You can then get some pliers on that one to press the final sticky out end bit in, but that's not the end of the world. This wants to be quite a thick tree, which is why I'm making it so bulky. I don't normally make it this bulky, but anyway, you're going to go up until you get to where you want your first branch to be, and because this is going to be a stub of a tree, it's not going to be a full tree. It's actually also going to be quite a tall initial trunk, and I'll do the flare and all that stuff with the air dry clay. So I think I'm going to get another twist going here, keep going, and each of these twists is going to be basically making the whole thing more structural and less likely to come to pieces. So once you've got your height, and if we look at that, that's about the height I want it to be. I don't want it to be too massive. What we're going to do is we're going to split these down like that. So that's going to be the main trunk, and that's going to be the branch which the eagle will be sitting on. And of course this can be bent, so it's got a bent trunk going at the base, and that gives us a little bit more space for wingspan. So what I'll then do is I'll then start winding around this one, like so. And it's as simple as that. So obviously this isn't a full tree, so you can extrapolate this technique to make normal wire round trees. And I see people that do it with them with drills to make it faster, but it doesn't take too long, even by hand like this. And because I'm going to be doing the making sure I have a lot of clay on there, I'm not actually too worried at the moment. Also, normally I put these a lot closer together if I was doing a normal wire round tree, because I want to use air dry clay. I don't need to worry about that so much. And I'm actually going to pull a little stubby kind of branch off here, just because trees don't normally have lots of like straight whatsits, and as you can see, we can make that quite nice. There we are. And I'll probably trim those off, and then I'll continue my main branch along like that until I've basically wrapped the wire all the way around right to the very end. So it's going to sit roughly there, and that's going to look perfect, I think. Good. So I'm going to carry this on using exactly the same technique until I've got the whole thing to a shape that I like. And what I'll do is I'll bring you back when I get to the next stage, which is going to be putting on the air dry clay. So yeah, pretty excited about this. I will be back very shortly. Well, that didn't take very long. I've done the twisting of what I do. I've also snipped off the base very slightly and marked onto the, snipped off the excess here, where if you were doing this on foam, you better press that into the foam. It gives you a little bit of a better kind of stability. But with this, I've trimmed it short, put a mark, so I'm going to drill a little hole there so that I can set that in, and that will give me that little bit of kind of like uprightness. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my snips and trim this down a little bit more as well. I just wanted to kind of offer it up and see where it ended, and eyeball roughly where it's going to go over. So I'm glad I stopped where I did. So I'm going to take all these off at an angle, make it flat, and then glue it in place. I'm going to use my grabby glue. So I'll get the drill the hole in, and then bring it along, show you how that's going to glue in place. But yeah, this is the technique I'm doing. What I'll then do is when that's dry, I will then start to do the air dry clay. I'll be trying to get as little as possible on this, so I'm probably going to have to mask most of the wood just because my hands will get dirty, though I have got the handle, which is going to help, but I'm probably going to mask most of the wood as well, and then I'll build up the air dry clay over the top of the rest of all of this. It's going to have to be done in one go. I'm not very confident about joining two sections of air dry clay. I think you need to wet it or something, so maybe I'll try that anyway, but I'm probably not going to be able to get that done today. I'll probably have to leave this to completely set with the grabby glue before I can move on. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with the shape, and if I hold that in place, and you can see that the eagle is going to be very, very nicely positioned just here, which looks really great, though you can't really see, just there, which looks great. So pretty happy with how that shape is. So I can get my drill that hole and glue it in place. So I'll bring you along when I'm doing the gluing, and then we'll let that to set overnight. Well, there we are, very quick hole drilled. And it sits in really nicely actually, and I managed to not go all the way through, which is what I wanted to avoid doing. So what I'll do is I'm going to put my glue onto the tree, because otherwise I'll lose sight of the hole, and we don't want that. Bear in mind the air dry clay is going to go onto the base, onto the actual wood, so this isn't the only thing that's going to be holding it in place, but yeah, it does want to be held securely. So there we are. Just smooth that down a little bit as well. Now you can use this kind of material actually to do your tree trunk as well. I've done that in the past, but I'm not going to do that for this. So let that set, and then I'll bring you back once we're ready to start the air dry clay, because that is the next step. So this is glued down really nicely and solidly. It's actually been a week or more since I looked at this because I went away. So what I'm going to do now is going to mask off the base, because I really don't want to get dirty fingerprints all over this. So I've just got some wide masking tape. I'm literally just going to come along and put it all the way across all of the base, and then around the bottom of the tree I'll do something a little bit more careful, so I won't just like mask wildly, and this tape isn't very good, it keeps splitting. Yeah, and I'll mask around the bottom of the tree so as to basically pick out this area like this. And then I'll come in with the clay. So I'm going to stop filming this bit because basically I'm just getting annoyed with the masking tape, keeping on splitting, which isn't helping me at all. So yeah, I'll get this all masked off, and I'll bring you back when I'm about to start masking around the base of the tree and show you how I do that. So yeah, it shouldn't take me too long, but yeah. back in a minute. As soon as I turn the camera on, the tape stopped split. Turn the camera off, the tape stopped splitting. So, typical. So what I'm going to do now, like I say, is I'm just going to come in with some smaller bits of masking tape around the bottom of the tree, because this is the area where I really don't want to get any clay on the wood. Now I will be coming in with a little bit of soil effect and grass and what have you around the base of this, so I will be doing that, but I still don't want to really get too much. I want to control where the clay is going, which is what this process is all about. So quite simple, as you can see. Masking tape is awesome. And once I've done this, then what I'll do is I'll dig out my clay and we'll start building up how the tree looks. So yeah, I am actually thinking about putting some more branches on this as well, so that may end up coming first, but I did want to do this anyway. It's been on my mind for a few days to get stuck into this. So yeah, there it is, nicely masked up. Right, now to decide, am I going to add some more branches, which I think I'm going to do. I'm just thinking about adding another one coming off here, or am I not going to worry about it? I'm going to stare at it for 5 minutes, make a decision, and you'll find out very soon what I decide to do, because you'll see. Right then, masked up. I ended up deciding just to twist out these last two, these strands here into some more branches, and to leave it like it is. The main focus of this isn't necessarily so much the tree, although I do of course want it to look good. So it's a while since I've used any clay. I was trying to think of the last project I did that had clay in it, and I actually can't remember. So yeah, so what we've got here is air dry clay from Das, which is pretty much what everyone uses. And what I'm going to do basically, actually a couple of things I need to do. First of all, what I need to do is where it's going to be sticking to, because glue is not, clay is not adhesive, it doesn't stick. So you're going to want to, basically, if you're going to be looking at sticking it to wood or anything like that, you're going to want to be putting some PVA glue down. Otherwise it won't actually adhere and it can easily lift off. So we're just going to drop some of this in and spread it around. I'll just use my fingers to spread it around, and that will give it a bit of grab for that will give it a bit of grab for that. Right, I've just got to go 1 second. Sorry about that interruption. You just almost, not really, but almost witnessed something very, very strange that has not happened in all the time I've been living here for 8 years. The postman just arrived. Seriously, never happened before. So that's just an oddity, but I had to run because I was being yelled at through my window. Anyway, let's get back to this. So what I'm going to do now, as I say, is I'm going to spread some PVA around and then use that to enhance the adhesion of said air dry clay. So with that disruption, I've got myself a brush, which is going to help me obviously to apply this, and yeah, so we're just going to get this bit done now. So I'll coat this in PVA. Right, so with the PVA on, I'm going to do the next step, which is I've got a little bit of water here because you do need to keep your fingers a little lubricated when working with clay. And we're going to smoosh it on like so and cover over all of the metal with little bits of clay, which is going to be an incredibly messy process. But the last time I did this to do a tree, which I think was on the Durin's doorway diorama, where I did the 2 holly bushes that grew up next to it, it worked really well. And this is where you can see, look at how filthy it's getting around the bottom. This is where you can see why I've done the masking, but I do need to make sure that I don't get any clay on top of any of the masking, otherwise it will be very difficult for me to remove said masking. So, important thing to note is I have shaped the tree exactly in the shape that I want it to be, because once this is dry, you'll not be shifting it, because the clay obviously dries quite hard. And the other thing is, which I haven't got to hand, which I'm going to have to go and grab, is I am going to need to have myself some tissues to dry my fingers on every now and then, because yeah, you don't want to get too messy doing this. So yeah, I'm just going to crack on with this. I'll put some music on, and if I get to an interesting point I think I need to talk, I'll turn the music off and talk to you. So enjoy. Well, there you are. That was a fun process. I always enjoy working with clay, but I don't use it very often. So what I'm going to do now, let that to dry and leave it a good few hours. Just putting in a little bit of texture. If you have like a screwdriver, if you don't have any special tools, you can use that, or you can use a sculpting tool like one of these, and just put some lines and what have you, some interest into the tree, and then when it's dried, these can be brought out really nicely with a bit of dry brushing. So yeah, just look at real trees, you'll see that they are quite often split and gouged. That's the normal shape of or normal texture of a bark on a tree. Just try to get some of that in, and then yeah, can leave it to dry, and then we'll be in the painting stage. So yeah, it didn't take too long, about 20 minutes in total. One thing I was aware of with this particular thing is you need to do it all in one go, really. So I needed to make sure that I had time to do it all in one go. I can tell you what, I only just did because I've got to leg it out now. So I almost ran out of time. But yeah, there we are. Just a few bits of of interest in that. Let that dry now, and I'll bring you back when I get to the painting. So this is now dry. Left it, what, 24 hours or so, maybe a bit more than 24 hours. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint watered down PVA all over the trunk. This will just seal it and mean that when I come to paint it, it won't take quite so much paint to do so. So I'm just going to very quickly paint this over, let it dry overnight, and then tomorrow hopefully I will get to come in and paint the wood. I'm going to start with grey, I think, and go from there. That's my plan at the moment. Anyway, so yeah, this is just my normal terrain glue, which is watered down PVA with a little bit of dish soap or washing up liquid, depending on where you are in the world, to make it flow a bit better and also to prevent it from going off in the pot, just an anti kind of bacteria or whatever. So yeah, that's nearly finished already. I will let that dry, like I say, and then it can start to then I can start to paint this up. It's coming on nicely, this project. I'm really pleased with how the trees turned out. It was a lot of fun working with the clay. I don't work with clay very often, so it was a nice change to use a slightly different medium, whatever, slightly different material, being less posh. So yeah, it's always nice to stretch yourself. Well, there we are. That will dry nicely, and it will just seal the clay so that I can paint it tomorrow. All done. So I just filmed a lovely segment about how I'm painting this grey and noticed that the microphone wasn't on, so let's start again. So yeah, so the glue has dried nicely, and I have some dark grey paint, and what I'm going to do is paint it over the whole of this. I've just got a couple of minutes before work now. Trees are more grey than you would realise if you go out in the real world, and you can also see that I've kept the masking on because this is not a clean process. Anywhere that's not masked, just around the base of the tree, I'll be covering with like grass and what have you, mud texture, because I'm going to do a little bit of that. So yeah, leaving the masking on deliberately for this process until I finish painting the tree, and only then will I take it off. But yeah, just going to get this covered over. Doesn't take long to dry. Once I've got a good covering, I might do 2 coats, I'm not sure. But once I've got a good covering, then I'll pick my next colour. Don't know what that's going to be, but yeah, we're going to make this look like quite an old dead tree. And I did check, the eagle does sit in it. I may need to pin it, not sure. Cross that bridge when I get to it. But for now, just going to do this undercoat, and I'll bring you back on when this is dry and I'm doing the next colour, whatever that is. So yeah, it's not taking very long. Alright, so that's dried. It took 15 minutes actually, but it's been longer than that in my time, so I've been doing a bit of work. What I'm going to do now is come along. I've got various colours, greens, browns and greys, beiges. I'm just going to start to kind of put a little bit of colour onto this tree. Not so much dry brushing as trying to give lines, because that's what you see in trees, like this. And I'll just build the colours up over and over until I'm happy with how it looks. And then the tree will be done. Like I said before, trees are very largely grey and greens. Brown is not actually a colour you see much. It's more beiges and what have you. I did actually end up only doing 1 coat of the grey. I quite like the little bits where the Reddy brown was showing through, because that's also a colour you get sometimes. So yeah, so I'll put some music on and just work away on different colours like this until I'm happy with it. Fortunately, it dries very quickly, so it's very easy to do multiple coats and multiple layers. So yeah, I'll stick some music on, zoom in a bit so you can see more of what the tree is. There we are, and I'll be back. Oh, enjoy this music and I'll be back to talk when I've finished. Right, so that's done. I added a little bit more of the burnt umber, just because, or the raw umber, whichever it is, just because it was needed a little bit darkening up. But I'm very happy with that. So what we're going to do now is going to remove all of this masking, which will be easy until we get around here, and hopefully I'll find that I've not made any mistakes and I've not put any clay over it where I didn't want to. So there is a little bit there which has got a bit too much near the clay, so that's going to be a little bit of a pain to remove. Managed it, there we are. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a kind of grey patch all around it, but that's not to worry, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some paint, with some PVA and my sand, and I'm going to basically put some texture on. So I'm going to do it with PVA first rather than with paint, just so that any overspill doesn't cause too much of a problem on the rest of the wood. So I'll just grab my sand, which is, everything is always nicely to hand for me here. That's one of the things I really like about how I've laid out room 13. Don't have to go very far to get things I use a lot. So this is my #1 sifted sand, I call, which is the finest sift. So the simple as this is, what we're going to do is come on just around the base like this, and I'm going to do it in small sections, so that's probably enough there. The aim being to cover up anywhere where I've got a spill or a bit of an overspread of clay colour. So with that done, and I'll just repeat this process, you come in, you put your, scatter your sand on, you wait about that long, shake it off, and there you are. You have some soil effect. So I'll do that on the rest of that, let that dry, and then today being Christmas Eve, probably it will be a couple of days before I get a chance, but I might get some time tomorrow. Might do it with Rosie even, who knows. And I'll come in, and what I'll do is I'll put some colour on that, because I don't think I want it to be that sandy. I think I do want it to have a bit more of a different colour. I might go for the red brown that I use. But anyway, I'll get that done and leave it to dry, because yeah, I don't want to paint it when it's wet. You need to seal it after it's dried the first time. You need to seal it again either with PVA if you like that sand colour, or with watered down, or with PVA mixed with a paint colour if you want to give it a colour. So yeah, really quick, really simple. Very nearly finished this build, which is cool. So it's been a few days with Christmas. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to paint over the sand with this reddish brown paint, which I've also mixed with some PVA just to give it a little bit more sticky, and a little bit of dish soap as well. So it's the same recipe as I used for all of my terrain paints. I'm going to do the best I can not to get any paint on the wood, just to paint the sand, and this will be the last touch of doing the base, unless I decide to do what I normally do, which is put a daffodil on. There's a daffodil on every one of these dioramas I've done. So yeah, I might do that, but I'm probably not going to put any grass or anything at all on it. So this will take a little bit of time, so I'll turn the camera off. There's no point in you watching me do this. You've seen it all now. I'm just going to be working away to try to cover over all of the sand colour with this nice rich reddy brown. So there we are. Well, against all the odds, this actually just balances, which is really good news. So I have made a little change as to where the eagle is sitting, and I think it is going to be better. So what I'm going to do is I've just got my super glue, and I'm going to bob a load of super glue on the claws like this, and then, oh, you can see that, that's good, there we are. And then I'm going to set this in place and I am going to clamp, because as you know, you can never have too many clamps, and having so many clamps I really need to use them. So that will clamp in place and that will go off quite quickly. What I then want to do, when I said go off quite quickly, I didn't mean it to spoing off like that. That made me jump. Let's do that again. There we are, that should be right. And then I'm not totally sure whether I'm going to stick with this figure on top of the eagle or not, because I do still have the other two. I've not painted them, but I'm not sure whether I prefer this one. So I might go paint her. I think I might prefer her. So I might go paint her and then check out what that looks like. So I'll probably paint her tonight. Check out what that looks like, just make a difference. But I just think that looks a little bit of a better result than the other one. And then we'll pretty much be done. I am thinking about putting some writing or something along here, or it is quite a lot of bare here, but maybe I can put some other figures on over time and build this up a little bit more. But I'm very, very happy with the tree and with the eagle, and like I say, I'm going to paint the other figure, and I think that will end up being what it looks like. So pretty much finished. Right, so I finished painting up the figure, the rider, and you can see that sits on there really, really nicely. So what I'm going to do now is glue it in place. So just get some super glue, put some super glue down, get rid of the dog hair, put some super glue down those little slots there and sit her in place. I had a balance before I moved her over here. Sit her in place like that, and then hopefully, oh, there we are, hopefully that will stick. And that's done. There we are, good. So pleased with that. Really simple base, but I think it looks awesome. Absolutely love it. And I'm pleased that I changed the figure. I think that figure suits much, much better. Well, there we are. It's a fun build, quite a quick one, and it's been sat in the lounge on the display area there for quite a while. It really does look well with the other ones in this series, as I said, put onto the chopping board bases. Really hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I do read all the comments and reply to all of them, and they really do motivate me, so yeah, don't be shy, do say hi. And I'll wrap up by saying, as I always do in all my videos, to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.